Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Wildcat 101, a podcast made by students for students. And today I'm super excited to have some guests here from New Student Orientation. Would you guys like to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Dr. Holly Gerke, and I work in our Office of Recruitment and Admissions, but my bread and butter is all things orientation.
Hi, my name is Cheyenne Niblack. I'm a senior here at K-State, and I am the Logistics Intern for New Student Orientation.
And she's also K-Sto Vice President,
I
and she's on the K-Sto board with me. So follow K-State Theater.
Please.
Before jumping into the episode, I always kind of like to have some sort of icebreaker or intro question just to get us talking. I don't foresee us yapping away being a problem for this group, but I do just kind of want to, get us started with a themed question around K-State campus, because I'm always curious, where is your favorite spot on K-State campus?
My favorite spot is definitely in Nichols. It's where I spend all my time, but specifically our green room is really nice. It's a chill hangout area. It has all of the show posters from previous years. It needs to be updated. We haven't put the last couple of years on there, but it's just a nice area where a lot of theater students hang out, and any students in general can come hang out if you want to, but it's hidden away to the side of our Chapman Theater stage.
Yeah.
Great. So I have an indoor and an outdoor. Is that okay?
Yes.
So indoor for me is probably Hale Library. I just feel very academic when I go in there, whether it's grabbing a coffee or like finding a little nook to study. It's a beautiful facility. And then outside, I don't know the best way to describe it, but it's like outside of Rainier, those like tiered lounge seats, kind of, I don't know what you would call that.
Yeah, like it's like on the little hill thing.
Yeah, it's like down towards their library. You can sit and like have your lunch or like hang out in the sun. And it's just like a nice, quiet outdoor space that's amongst everything. But it's, again, kind of hidden away.
Yeah, it has like all the beautiful
landscape.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's my outside space, I would say.
Oh, I love an outdoor space. I also love K-State as a walkable campus.
For sure.
Not to diss KU, but yes. Their campus, like, KU cabs is like a thing where like if you walk up hills, and I'm very appreciative that K-State, like, I mean, there are hills on campus.
Well,
the Nichols Hill.
The Nichols Hill
is real
sometimes. But I mean, even Cardiac Hill isn't that bad. Like Cardiac Hill is very steep, but it's short, versus Nichols Hill isn't that steep, but it's long.
Yeah.
But those are like the two hills that come to my mind when I think of K-State campus.
Yeah. And sometimes I take an extra lap before, if it's a nice day, before
and
class.
it's not just a walkable campus. It's a beautiful campus that you want to walk, right?
Yes.
And find new ways to navigate from point A to point B.
You shouldn't pick a college just because it's pretty, but like it helps. You know what I mean?
It is a plus.
It really is a plus. I want to answer my favorite spot because Cheyenne stole my fave, but it's okay. I actually think it's a tie. I love the great room in the library, and my story with the great room is I had to make a decision between Wichita State and K-State of where I went. And when I came to a Wildcat pause day, I was fully set on coming to WSU, and my parents told me you cannot just tour one school and go there. And so then I was like, fine. So I came here to appease them, and I left, and I was so angry. And I remember being in the car. My dad was like, why are you so are you okay? Why are you upset? I'm like, because now I have to decide, and I really liked it. Like I was like,
you were right.
You were right. I
like
should. And so then I came back for an audition day here at K-State to audition for scholarships within the music program, and we did a campus tour in between my audition and my trial lesson, and I went into the great room, and I saw this person. And I think this was maybe on a Saturday. So they were in there on a Saturday, but they were reading in the giant chair that's by those giant windows, and the sun was like streaming in.
It was so picturesque.
Yes. And I just remember going, I need that to be me. Like, I was like, I need that to be me.
How do I make that happen?
How do I make that happen?
Yeah.
So that was, I think, when I went to the great room, I was like, yeah, I think
You made a great choice.
yeah,
Again, the beautiful choice or the beautiful campus added to your decision.
Yes. So I think a campus is super important, and K-State has a pretty great run.
Oh, yeah. I feel like I'm kind of switched on that. So I didn't really tour. I came for a visit, but I didn't do a tour because I was like, I'm not going to live on campus. I'm a transfer student. Like, I already had plans elsewhere. But then like getting on campus in the spring, it was like a chance for me to explore, and then doing orientation really got me the chance to like fall in love with K-State and learn so much about it. So now I'm like, oh my gosh, go Cats all the way.
Yes.
Bleed purple, you know?
Yes. And I always get so excited for when tours happen in the fall, because there's these 2 weeks in October, at least 2 weeks in October.
Gorgeous.
Where everything is gorgeous. Fall is my favorite season.
The weather, the colors, everything. It's amazing.
We live in the
it is
Midwest.
the
We get to have
vibe.
all 4 seasons.
Yeah.
We get to see it all, experience it all. Like today, it rained last night, so you can like smell spring. It's almost here.
Yes.
It's happening.
So nice.
Absolutely. And this is a great transition into, we talk about how beautiful the campus is and campus tours. So I guess my first question, and I went through student orientation myself, but I know that it's always changing and growing and adapting. What is student orientation, and why is it so important?
Cool. I'll start.
Yeah.
And then you can fill in the gaps, right? Because
course.
I feel like this is a question we get a lot. And so there's definitely like the way that you answer it, but also the ways that you can add into it. So new student orientation for us at K-State, what Cheyenne and I work with is all undergraduate students. So I think that that's important. So any undergraduate student transfer, international, your typical freshman student, helping students navigate the transition from wherever they were, high school, a transfer institution, another country potentially, to being a part of our K-State community. And so there's facets within that, right? You need to enroll in classes. Check. You need to get your student ID. I need to buy a parking pass, right? And so all of those things are components of new student orientation. But I think our goal and what we try to set forward in our programming is to help students have a successful transition. And so everything from my lens as the person overseeing it is student focused. Like, what are we doing to make sure that students have a great experience along with their family and parents, right? Because those individuals as well are going through a transition, whether it's their first kid leaving the house and they're really nervous. Maybe they didn't go to college themselves, and so this is the first time they're doing that. Maybe it's their 4th kid, and maybe it's the 4th K-State child, right? So they know what's going on, but they still want support and to feel validated in all the things that are happening. And so we have a fantastic staff of orientation leaders, which Cheyenne can talk about more, but that help students navigate from enrollment all the way until the first day of class when we have K-State kickoff. And so we call it a scaffolded event, right? Because things happen at very specific times to make sure that students are having help throughout. It's not like a one and done type of situation. And so new student orientation, nuts and bolt wise, there are some online modules we have students complete. They meet with their academic advisor one-on-one virtually from wherever they want to do that to enroll in their classes. Typically, students come here to campus in the month of June or July for an in-person orientation. That's a one-day experience for parents, family members, students, to just really get a sense of what it is to be a K-Stater, while also getting all of those questions answered too, making sure you feel really confident about coming to campus in August. And then that leads us to August. So first day of class this coming year will be August 24th, 2026. And the days before that, we have K-State kickoff, which are just like really fun, large events, again, to create your community, find your sense of belonging, and have a great start to your semester.
Yeah, pretty much Holly nailed it perfectly. But like, I really like to talk about like the connections that we do at orientation, just because we have adapted orientation through the years. So now that we have the online orientation modules that students complete, once they register for orientation, they get sent those modules and they complete them to then get their advisor to reach out to them by like early April to start the enrollment process. But those online orientation modules, those like cover a lot of like the information that we used to cover within orientation itself. So now we're not giving those like longer presentations that might be like, oh my gosh, why am I here? This is like boring kind of thing. And we always tried to like spice it up, make it fun and exciting. But not everyone's a theater major. So not everyone can, give it some pizzazz. So we've adapted. So now it's really more about making those connections, finding that sense of belonging on campus, and like really getting into those K-State traditions. Like we do the Wabash. We talk about other like traditions within academic colleges. I know like with College of Ed, there's the ringing of the Bluemont Bell when you've like graduated. That's a big tradition here. And so like we talk about those things with the students to get them excited, as well as build connections. We put them in these groups with their orientation leaders where they have like similarities, whether it's like, oh, they're in fraternity and sorority life, or they're first gen, or they're all transfer students. I'm a transfer student myself, so getting connected with students that have similarities to me as well as differences as well. I remember being an OL and having some groups where it was just transfer students, but some where it was like a good mix of students where it's like, hey, you know, making connections with other people in other majors, or even like those connections where it's like, oh, you guys are going to be in the same class, the same major, like the same housing community. We always recommend like exchange phone numbers now, or social media, anything like that. So then you have a built-in friend by the time you come back in the fall. And we do K-State Kickoff, which is a whole exciting event in itself as well.
Yeah. So I think the connection creation is like, again, that in-person day in June and July, like that's the goal. And it's, you know, you see it where like everyone comes in and in the morning they're kind of like doe-eyed. It's 9:30, their caffeine hasn't kicked, right? But like by the end of the day, you see people exchanging snaps and exchanging phone numbers.
Eating lunch together.
And they're like, I found my roommate at orientation, right? And so like those are the things that fill my cup as the person that oversees it. It's like, that's why we do what we do. And again, I am a parent myself. I'm thinking about their transition as well. We try to connect parents, right? Like, you know, oh, you're also from St. Louis and you drove all this way. Like now we know we have someone that might be able to bring our kid back, or, you know, now we can meet up and talk about and commiserate whatever it is about our experience as K-State parents. And so we try as well to continue to help the connection and the growth for parents, because they're not a student here, right? But they're a part of the K-State family. And we look at those experiences. So our orientation leaders are key, right? Without them, we can't do the program that we try to put on in the summer. So that's that in not a nutshell.
Yeah, no, you're good. I'm interested to hear more about your experience as a student orientation leader.
Yeah, I was a student orientation leader 2 summers ago.
Yeah.
What was that? Is that 2024 or 5?
2024.
4, yeah.
Because this is 2026.
This is 6, yeah. Okay, so yeah, summer 2024, it was that spring semester was my first semester on campus. I was online in the fall. And so moving up here, I didn't know much about K-State, and I needed a summer gig, and I saw that orientation was hiring for OLs. And so I was like, oh, let me give this a try. And Holly graciously hired me.
Graciously.
Yeah, in my first semester on campus. And I remember mentioning like the reason I wanted this job was to get to know K-State. I'm going to be here for a few years, and I want to know more about my college and all the exciting opportunities that it offers, and the resources that come with it. I mean, you know, you're paying your tuition and fees, and that covers so much. Like there's so many amenities that are in that students should be utilizing. And we cover that a lot in the modules and in orientation itself, but just also in like those first few weeks, like letting students know like there are opportunities for you, whether it's tutoring, it's our rec center, anything like that you can think of. K-State has it, and you're already paying for it, so utilize it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so being an OL that summer was super exciting. Like building rapport with the team that we had was amazing. I mean, we still chat to this day. We have a group chat. We're still messaging each other. Sometimes see each other out and about. Some people have graduated already, and that's okay too. We were a lot of older, like juniors and seniors at the time. And then knowing that the intern position was opening up the next semester / next year, I was like, well, I really wanted to do orientation again. And so why not be in a different role with, you know, more responsibilities, a different look at it. And so I applied, and it was actually really great that I and one of my other OLs that I worked with personally was the interns for last summer. So it was me and another intern, and he was our student development I believe is it. Yeah. Student development intern. I cover logistics. So my job was really like during the spring semester, answering any questions, comments, or concerns from parents, students, anything regarding orientation and registration, setting all of that up. And then by the time orientation rolls around, I'm in charge of making sure orientation runs smoothly versus his job was being in charge of building the schedule for training for our orientation leaders and communicating to campus partners and setting anything up. So then by the time we started training in the summer, like he basically is building the team and the rapport that they get and all of that fun stuff. Well, I was there too. I was also building the team with them, but I was covering, again, those emails, communications, anything like that. And then when orientation happens, I get to run the concierge line. I get to set up all the accessibility needs, making sure that like our Spanish translation people that need that they have the information they need, or if we need any interpreters, like anything like that, I was in charge of. And then if anyone had any questions throughout the day, they were welcome to call the phone on the back of their name tag. They could text, anything like that. And that was me. I'm answering it. I'm driving the golf carts around, anything like that. Just making sure that all my eggs are in a basket and accounted for.
And without Cheyenne, and shout out to Kaden, who was our other intern last summer, like, it would not function, right? And so I think when we look at students and the fantastic experiences that they have at K-State, right, whether you've been here just a semester or maybe it's, you're going into your senior year, if you want a unique leadership-driven experience, being an orientation leader is incredible. Yes, it's a summer commitment. Yeah, you have to be in Manhattan. But if you've never been in Manhattan in the summer, it is a special place. And you don't have to wait in line to get into Taco Lucha.
It's really chill.
It's so great.
So chill.
And so, it's a great leadership opportunity for students too. So we have this year are going to have a lot of first-year students going into their second year that are looking to develop in their facilitation skills, in their, conflict resolution skills, in their leadership, right? Because an orientation leader, like, you get to wear the fun polo that we both have on. I know you can't see us, but we have on our polos, right? You guide people from point A to point B. You get up and give different presentations. You get to facilitate a small group. You get to make those connections. And so that's not typically something a normal college student has experience in unless they've like already dove into that somewhere else. And so it's a great way to build up those leadership skills. We have a lot of, like Cheyenne, education majors who want to be future teachers, who know that they need these skills. So catch us next year if you're looking for a summer job and you want to be an orientation leader. It's a really unique, fun experience, and we give you lots of fun swag. You get free meals.
So many amenities. Yeah. And here's the thing, like you're the face of K-State for these students, and it's good that you are a student yourself. Like these students get to that firsthand experience from you versus if it were just our faculty and staff at
just
K-State.
Me.
Yeah, which are great. You guys are amazing. But, students want to hear from students. Yeah. And so they get the chance to ask questions, get advice, anything like that. And parents as well. I've had several parents when giving golf cart rides to and from like the dorms or the residence halls back to the union, ask a lot of questions. They genuinely care about, what am I doing at K-State? What programs am I in? What organizations am I involved in? What kind of organizations do we have at K-State?
What's your experience?
Yes,
been?
they want your K-State story. And it's my favorite thing to give. I love giving a K-State story.
Yeah. And you guys have a really important job because, again, it's in the name, orientation. You are orienting people who are disoriented. And Kansas is made up of lots of small towns. I know this is the biggest school I've ever attended. Yeah. And for a lot of people, it is also the biggest school that they have ever attended. Even transfers often come from smaller colleges or community colleges. And so it's you are the face of like, help me, you know what I mean? Yes. And so it's important for, like Cheyenne mentioned, to be type A and on it and
it's that reassurance, right? So you talked about visiting schools, right? And you visited a few and we're also in the business of like recruiting students. We want new Wildcats to be here. If there were not students that came to K-State, I myself wouldn't have a job, right? Like I'm powered by, students choosing K-State as the place that they want to continue their education, continue growing themselves professionally, personally, all those different things. And so for us, orientation is also seen as a way for students to continue to build affinity with the university. There's some students, like you said, they might be from far away. Maybe they're not familiar with K-State. Some of our students, orientation is the first time they ever come to campus. And that is impactful. And you want that to be a positive experience. You want it to be a reassuring experience. And so, again, even if it's a fourth generation K-Stater, it's still unique to them. And we want that experience to be unique, to them individually. But then for students and families who are not familiar with K-State, maybe they're out of state, maybe they, have traveled a long way. One of our orientation leaders this year is from Miami, right? And so she wanted to go into architecture. We have a fantastic program for that. And so she's far away from home. People can relate. And so having someone, again, peer-to-peer is really important to us. But that experience, can definitely make or break some people's decisions still, even though they've already enrolled and plan to come. Can make or break that experience for students in the summer. And so we want to make sure we do everything we can in our power to have that as positive as possible.
Yeah. And it's important to have students and staff be working in orientation because I am going to shout out my brother, Brigham. He's a first-year K-Stater this year. And he recognized Cheyenne.
I remember seeing his name. I do the name tag. So
Yes.
I know this person.
Yes, because I had talked about Cheyenne and knew her, and Brigham was like, I recognize her from orientation or from the modules.
Oh, yeah.
She's also in the modules.
I forget I'm in the modules. You wouldn't recognize me. My hair is completely different. Change it up every semester.
There you go. But that connection is important. You wouldn't think that, amidst thinking back to when I did my orientation process, and I'm sure it has adapted and changed since I have been there.
Most definitely.
But like looking across the sea of people who were also there, it kind of feels a little bit like, how can I make connections here? There's so many people here. Like I just kind of getting lost. I don't really know what's happening. But I know that you guys have lots of stories and lots of cool, I don't know, just things that you have seen and observed that have happened at orientation that don't happen anywhere else.
Yeah. I think for me, when I think about that, I work in the Office of Recruitment and Admissions. That's where orientation lives at K-State. And this might not be apparent to everyone, but that's unique that it's under what we call enrollment management, right? Because again, it's still a student driving choice. It's still a recruitment event, orientation is for us. And again, reaffirming that choice in K-State. And so there are times where I get to go out on the road and meet prospective students, right? When they're juniors, seniors in high school, or they come to campus for a visit. And even this morning, before I came and filmed this, I did the welcome presentation for the visitors that are here today. And so I most likely, unfortunately, won't remember everyone that I do a welcome for or everyone that I interact with if I go out on the road and meet them. But if I've done my job, they remember me and hopefully the way that I make them feel at those events. And I think that is very K-State coded in the sense of family. It's not about what you say, right? Like we have tried to cut out a lot of the information sessions about parking. Those things are important. Yeah. Parking, your ID, security and safety, those are important. However, those are nuts and bolts. We can give you that information in a different way. We want orientation for you to leave with a feeling, right? And so I remember families that I met in St. Louis at a recruitment event, at a chicken and pickle in St. Louis, and they come in and they're like, you were in St. Louis. We remember you, right? And it's like, remind me of your name, right? Like, tell me a little bit more about your story. And I might not remember all of the things, but I'm doing my job right if it continues. And the one thing that stands out in my mind, Cheyenne and I were talking about, like, okay, what are we going to say? Because there's so many things that some of them are back end, like between our staff, but then front facing. I had one student this summer. He needed an accommodation. He hurt himself. I can't remember what Matthew did, whether he was playing football or something, but he had just had surgery, was on crutches at orientation, right? You're already nervous about going to orientation, and now you can't get around, right?
Yeah.
So I was in charge of Matthew and his mom that day, and I drove them to all of their different appointments. And so we got to know each other as the day went on. Matthew now works as a campus ambassador in our office. And when he came in to interview, I was like, Matthew, like, I remember you, like, you're healed, da-da-da-da. And he's like, I changed my major. I'm not in engineering anymore. Like, I'm thinking kinesiology based on what had happened to him in the summer with his injury, right? And his mom emailed me after and was like, I'm so excited Matthew's working in the office. So, like, those are the things that I remember as a person that sometimes is oversight, not as, boots on the ground in those instances, but really making those connections. And I think that that's kind of what you're going to lean into as well.
Yeah. I mean, well, you mentioned like you may not remember everyone, but like Holly did my welcome presentation when I did my visit at K-State. And I remember her. And then when I interviewed for being an orientation leader, the first thing she said to me was, you look familiar. And I was like, you did my welcome presentation. She's like, oh yeah. And she remembered me. So that like felt good too. I mean, it was like a year later when that occurred. So knowing that like I'm not just like a number here at K-State.
Yeah.
Like I am part of this family, this community, this sense of belonging. I mean, K-State is Manhattan in general. It's a second home to me. So even though I know I've lived here for, like 3 years now, like I still consider like my hometown my home, but this is home as well. And K-State does such a great job at creating that sense of belonging, as we've mentioned. But yeah, talking about orientation and like, as you mentioned, like a bunch of the nuts and bolts, like we don't want orientation to feel so information loaded.
Like drinking from a fire hose. That's what it can feel like, right? When someone's just pounding you with information, you leave and you're like, I don't even remember what happened.
And I think sometimes that's what people think when you say the word, I'm going to orientation.
That's what it used to be like. Yes. I think that's important to know. And we switched. We wanted it to feel more about individuals and their sense of belonging on our campus.
And even from an OL perspective, like orientation before kind of did feel like, okay, here it goes again. Here it goes again. We say it's like Groundhog Day. But now that we've adapted it to be like so connection based with our students and one-on-one and like meeting with their academic colleges and then getting more opportunities to connect with other students as well as K-State students, it doesn't feel like that anymore. It feels like, even though it is like Groundhog Day in the sense we do a lot of orientation days, every group is different. Every student that we get is different. So there are different opportunities that are coming and different stories that the OLs get to come back at the end of the day and talk about like, oh my gosh, yes, I had this student that said this and, we're all chatting about it. And it just feels good. Like it makes you feel so happy and accomplished that this is what you're doing here at K-State, that you're making a difference, that you are bringing these students in, because like Holly said, some of these students like come to orientation and they don't know if they're going to go to K-State yet. They've been admitted. Yeah, they've been admitted. They have also been probably admitted to other colleges within the area or outside the area that they are considering as well. So they come to orientation as is this the place that I want to go to? And we try to do such a good job of being like, yes, you want to come here.
There's no other option.
There's no other option because we want you here. We want you for you. And again, like I said, like we make it feel like you're not a number. We don't want you for your money kind of thing. And I've done orientation at other universities that it felt like that, where it's like, I'm just a number. They just want my money. It doesn't feel like they care about my education, but here at K-State, they care about your education. Everyone here wants you to graduate. So
yeah. And I mean, you talked about your brother, right? We cap our days. Could I have more people every day come to try to not do orientation for 3 weeks in a row? Yes. But we don't, because we want there to be that like as much of an individual experience or small group experience as we can overall. But there's so many fun, whether it's like Cheyenne said, whether it's between the staff or the things that you interact with on a day, or like the small things that we can do that sometimes make the largest impact on a family, right? Like last summer, I think it was actually just this January with a spring start. It was like, I'm still worried about my housing and making sure like all the ducks were in a row. And it's like, hop on the golf cart. We'll drive you to their department to take care of it. And they were like, are you sure? And it's like, yes, like that's what we're here to do. We train our student staff on like the Disney aspect of customer service and hosting, right? Because yes, we have a product to deliver you, higher education, right? We want you to come to K-State. But we want to make sure that we're doing it like you're our guest for the day. We want to host you. We want you to feel comfortable. One of the like fun experiments that we do during the day is like half of our group will be the hosts, and it's supposed to be like hosting over the top, right? Like what's an over the top host look like? And as people who usually like sit in the background, Cheyenne and I, and watch it happen, people are like, they're pulling out my chair. They're asking if I need water.
They'll tie your shoe. They'll take your trash.
But it's like, we don't take it to that level. I hope we don't make people feel uncomfortable at orientation. But it's like knowing where the bathrooms are, you know, pointing with an open hand instead of like pointing with a finger, right? Like there's small things that we can enforce in our staff to then, again, when someone leaves, they're like, I don't even know what happened today, but I know I had a great time and they were kind and they helped me get to what I needed to do. And I feel so confident in bringing my student or a student. I can't wait.
Yes.
How many days until school, right? That's what we want people to feel like when they leave.
Yeah. And sometimes not even just like pointing, like directly walking them with, we have a lot of instances where the OLs are walking students and their families from maybe the Bernie Family Welcome Center to the residence halls, or from the Union to PowerCat Financial upstairs, because like that's a harder place to find. Like, and some people don't know, oh, third floor, like we're already here, we can just go up kind of thing. So it's like taking them directly there. I know like when I do the accessibility needs, like I make sure that an OL, if not myself, is with them at all times, so that like they know where the elevators are. They can call me and like I can be there with a golf cart to accommodate, whether it's them or their family members, anything like that. Like we are always on top of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that I like that you highlighted the two perspectives of there's kind of two veins. There's the students who know they're coming here and they're ready to get themselves on board, and they come in and they're like, whoa, swimming in the ocean for the first time. Like there's so much everywhere, and you're kind of guiding them and directing them to what they need, or maybe they don't even know what they need yet, but you can maybe start there.
Yeah.
And then there's students who might not, I haven't even thought about that before, that there are students at orientation that might not be fully committed to K-State and are just kind of wanting to see what it's like, or it's the first time that they've ever been on campus, or maybe the first time that they've ever truly sat down and been like, okay, let's consider concretely what I want to do, where I want to go, things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about it as like a spectrum of, you know, some of our students that know what they're doing, have a bit of more of what they want figured out, usually come to our earlier days of orientation that first week. And then we have students that kind of are late to the game a bit, and that's okay. That's what we are there to help. We are resourceful as OLs, as faculty, staff, anything like that at orientation to get them like, oh, I haven't enrolled yet. Okay, well, we recommend like talking to your when you go to your academic session, meet with them and talk to them directly, being like, I did all this. I need to set up an enrollment appointment. They will help you get in contact with your advisor. Or, oh, I haven't got the chance to buy athletic passes. It's like, great. During our Choose Your Adventure time, like we're going to have an area where you can buy athletic passes. Anything along the lines of that, of like, these people might need a little extra help. We're there to help.
Yeah. And I think being a land grant institution also focused on well-being, right? Which is why we're here with this podcast. I mean, not the only reason why, right? But being a health promoting institution, we, from a student success perspective, know that students cannot be the best student in class if they are not the best version of themselves. And so we want to make sure as well, like your nuts and bolts are taken care of. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Do I have a place to stay? Do I know I can fund? Are you going to feed me when I come, right? But as we grow up that connection and belonging, making sure that there's people that care for me, knowing that I can raise my hand if I need help, and whoever I raise my hand to or go to is going to help me with that resource. That's, again, just like what we want to emulate. So our team goes through green bandana training. Our team goes through, we hear from, whether it's, First Lady Sally Linton or someone else to talk about well-being and what that means. We visit the Cat's Cupboard food pantry on campus. We hear from Lafine Health Center and CAPS, so that our orientation leaders, if it's not something that they utilize, which a lot of times it is, any of those gamuts of resources, the rec center, it was like, who's going to the gym after training today, right? Like, but they can feel confident in telling families and students how we care for them as people first, and as like a student along with that in that journey overall. Being a land-grant institution means students don't have to be admitted by a certain day and then it's closed, right? Like you could apply and come to orientation in August before classes start, and you shouldn't feel like you're behind, right?
Yeah.
And like you said, there's some students who might be attending a few different orientations at a few different institutions, and how it goes for them during those days could influence some of those lollipop moments, if you will, of how people interact with them. And so, yes, there is a schedule. There are things we want to accomplish. There's information we want you to walk away from. And holistically, new student orientation, again, the modules, meeting with your advisor, these are all components of it. But we don't want you to feel like when you come in person that either you haven't done the modules, so you don't know some of those basic things, or that we're overloading you with information day of. As we move forward, I feel like we're saying the same thing in different ways, just to say like we care about our students and we want them to be successful. Yeah,
it's about the feeling that you create. I love that we keep circling back to orientation is not just, okay, here's your financial advisor, you go to Anderson for that. Here's your academic advisor, go meet with them, get your classes sorted, and then we'll do a tour, and then it's like, great.
Right, and you feel like a sheep who's being heard all day and no one knows your
name. You're like, oh, well, I have all these buildings on my class schedule and I don't know where they are. Or I like that you group people together of like maybe they're from the same place or same major or something, because I know in theater our department is a little bit smaller, so I know everyone, and it's really fun to know pretty much everybody and feel like you're at a small little community within a community. But like for my brother who is computer engineering,
there's a lot more students there.
There's a lot more students there, and it's a whole different thing, but I will hear him tell stories of like, oh, I have this person in my class. He was also my engineering orientation. You know what I mean? Here's this person. He was also there. And so he could meet other people that were also embarking on the same journey that was so different than mine.
Yeah. And I mean, talking with other staff members at K-State that work in CAPS or, student support and accountability, social anxiety is real, right? When we very heavily, one of the major things that our students say that they're concerned about, yes, like paying for your education might be a concern, or, and when we're receiving these now, because orientation registration is open. So if you're admitted and coming in the fall, register for orientation. There's our one little plug, right?
I can link so many things in the show notes. Plug whatever you want.
Yes. So register for orientation, right? But as you register in there, we ask you some questions about like, what are you most excited about? What are you nervous about? How confident do you feel in your study skills, your major, right? We want to know some of those things. And it's not empty. It's not, you just told us that and we don't know. But it's crazy, right? I looked at it just the other day, and the amount of people that are like, I'm so excited to make friends and get out and do the things. And then it's exactly the same responses. And what are you nervous about, right? So I'm really excited to make friends, but I'm nervous about it. So again, during orientation, we want to help you feel confident in some of those things. So in the afternoon on those days, you move around with a larger group of students. So it's like a few orientation leaders in their group, right? And you hear from student programming and involvement. How do you get involved? Let's do some speed friending. How do you walk up and talk to someone, right? Because people, right, are in their phones, they scroll, they do the things, right? And they go to college and sometimes they're like, yeah, and at college I'll make friends, which is true. But you also have to put yourself into situations where that's going to happen, right? Whether that's, maybe it is getting someone's snap and that's how you're communicating, and that's great. But social anxiety and like going up and talking to someone and being anxious in that, like those are some of the things before you even come. Maybe you're like, whoa, I didn't even know that you were trying to do that at orientation. But we are, right? Like that's our goal, is to not just be like, move through these things. It's like, hopefully you leave and one of our goals is, did you meet someone new today? Right? Maybe they were in your major. Maybe they're from the town over and they're a rivalry high school, but now you're going to go to K-State together, right? So we know that social anxiety and that's a lot of anxiousness that our Generation Z has.
Yes.
And so our orientation leaders, again, are trained as individuals themselves who might suffer from social anxiety because they're peers, right? We train to try to help you feel more confident, making small talk that's not just about the weather, or asking questions that are intentional about the students overall.
Yeah, I mean, we as OLs, like we are are always hyping each other up. So whenever they get dismissed into their groups, where it's like, okay, like going with this orientation leader, this group, these are the students that go with them, and we're like cheering them on, just so like they can get excited and pumped too. There's that like sense of embarrassment sometimes that students get. I know like when I was in OL and we would do the Wabash, some people would be like, oh, this is kind of awkward. But we're all doing it. We're all doing it together. Like, you don't have to feel like you're being singled out because everyone's doing it. Like, I'll do it with you. And we teach them how to do it because that is a K-State tradition that we do here. So just getting them comfortable with maybe stepping out of their shell a bit, or even just like talking to new students that are also there. Like I constantly remind them, I promise you, you are not the only one that feels this way.
Yeah.
Like even as an OL or even as an intern, sometimes like the very first day of orientation is nerve-wracking. Like, is everything going to go okay? Did I do everything that I needed to do?
Is my group going to be really quiet? Are they going to be yappers? Am I going to really have to pull words out of them? Or all those different things are things we think about.
Exactly. Just finding like some common ground with them usually helps. So just getting them, again, to be comfortable to share with you, but also with other students. So.
Absolutely. And I think that, you guys taking care of both aspects of the nitty gritty advising academics leaves space then for that focus on that social connection, because all of this stuff takes up so much space in the brain that it is very nice to then have, like you said, people can come in and check that all of their ducks in a row. Okay, I can meet with financial advisors, academic advisors, things like that, and take care of that stuff. And then they don't have to stress about that while also stressing about the social aspect, which is a little bit more difficult to navigate they are both difficult in their own aspects, but like with academic advising, it's like, oh, let's figure out how to read your DARS, and you can like figure out how to read it. There's no DARS report for like other people, you know what I mean, or for socializing. So it's a little bit trickier.
Right. But I love that you say that. So DARS is a degree audit report, just so people that might be like, what is a DARS, right? So like, what are the classes you need to take to graduate? But you talk about like, you can't just see what people... You see what you see, right? When you come to orientation, and maybe that's someone you want to interact with or not. And sometimes it's just a like this or that question that can spark interest of like, do you like comedy or do you like scary movies, right? And that alone just starts bumping off. Something we're doing this year that came from the orientation leaders as feedback to kind of assist with making that bridge in a little bit easier is like they get to... Students that come get a name tag that's on a lanyard. And at conferences that I've attended, you can identify certain pieces of yourself that you also want to put on your name tag as like little ribbons, right? And so maybe it's your first gen and you want to put that on there. Or maybe you're going into a fraternity and sorority and you want to put that on the bottom of your name tag. So that's an identifier for students to be like, hey, like, I see you're going to go through sorority recruitment as well. Like, I want to go through recruitment. And so, like, let's talk about that experience. Or I can't even think of all the list of things that we said that would be good identifiers for students. Transfer sometimes is something to be like, oh, okay, where are you transferring from? Like, this is
that is a
time.
different
Right, it's a different experience, but they also deserve to have a transition in, right? It's not like, oh, they know everything about coming to college.
It's different. Yeah.
It is. It's different. I mean, I was a transfer student, and granted, I was doing virtual orientation, but we've adapted that virtual orientation in itself to be still have that same sense of connection that we get in person through breakout rooms. And so that like helps them feel connected on campus as well. Or transfer students that come to in-person, some of them are like, I don't need to be here, blah, blah, blah. Like maybe I'm older and these are all children kind of thing. We get a lot of that. I mean, I get it. When I was coming to K-State, I had that same mindset. But now that seeing it from that other aspect, it's like, oh no, we cover so much more than just like the nitty gritty information and overload of that. Instead, like we're about building that connection so that you don't feel like you're so different from all these other students. I mean, most students in our program, our theater program, didn't know that I was older or that I was a transfer student. It was just I was a new student and I was welcomed in. So that's what we try to build with orientation, that you may feel like a new student, but you are welcomed in.
Yeah. And I mean, we ask students to do a lot before they get here, right? I've applied. I've been admitted. Now you want my transcripts. I need my vaccination records. You're asking me to fill out this survey. I have to submit a picture to get my student ID. Like, there's a lot out there we are asking you to do. And so for us, orientation, we didn't want it to feel like an all or nothing day where everything quick, we have to get everything else in, that it feels overwhelming. Because as a student, you're like, specifically our traditional age, like 18-year-olds coming out of high school, right? They're like, I want my class schedule. That's all they can think about, is getting their class schedule and enrolling, because as a college student, that's what you need, right? And you want to see your schedule, or you're going to have an 8 a.m., all these different things. So when we restructured orientation, getting your schedule happens first, right? Because it's at the back of your mind, instead of coming to orientation all day thinking about, like, when am I going to enroll? When am I going to enroll? When am I going to enroll? Am I going to get in the classes that I need? Is my advisor going to be nice? Right?
All of those, like,
It's
very
done.
specific
You've already
things.
met with your advisor. If you need to switch some things, you know who to go to get that help, right? So we've kind of put that first. Same thing with some of the nuts and bolts. You want to buy an athletic ticket. You want to know when move-in is. You want to learn about, academics in the great room, health and well-being, all these different things. Those are in our online modules, which are not just like clickbait, right? Like, there's videos, there's fun, like, quizzes to do, all these different things to hopefully keep it really engaging. That gives you that information. So when you come, that's at the back of your mind. It's not something that we don't get questions of, like, how do I buy a parking pass 100 times a day? Right? Because students already, if we answer it, we answer it. Please know that. Like, we are used to answering the same question over and over, but we're able to go that next level deeper. And then we get to kick off, which we haven't talked about at all, right? But that's the weekend before classes start. And so people go through sorority recruitment or through band camp, fantastic ways to meet people and get engaged. But after that, the Thursday evening before classes start, we have a huge party out on Anderson Lawn. That's where you get your orientation t-shirt. Willie is always there. We have a DJ, right? Like, it's just a good, feel-good, fun time to meet people. This last year, we did a rock, paper, scissors game of, like, everyone on the lawn was thousands of people were playing rock, paper, scissors. And it's a great way to, like, simply build community and introduce yourself to someone new, right? That's where Pancake Feed comes in, where we feed 5,000 people pancakes out on Memorial Lawn. Convocation out at the athletic facilities, right? That sets students up to be like, okay, I know some people. I've eaten in the dining centers a few times. I feel good. I've walked my class schedule. On the first day, I feel confident, right? That's when we connect you to some of those resources. You might not need tutoring. You don't need to really learn about tutoring super heavy in June. But when you come right before classes start in August, it's going to be real important to know where to find a tutor, right? So we try to scaffold that and level it tiered, right? Build the foundation. So when students come, we're like, fly, little butterfly. Like, you've done it. You've done your metamorphosis. And we hope you have success. But also come to us if something falters, right? And feel like you've built a foundation that you know that you can go back and be like, hey, I need some help. And you have an orientation leader. You have our team. Maybe you've met a friend along the way that you know is going to support you at K-State.
Yeah. And our OLs, like, they are there during kickoff too. I mean, they help you get, I know that academic colleges have their own sessions during kickoff. We have a lot of, like, touring the library and seeing, like, the innovation lab or tutoring or anything like that. Walk your class schedule, where we, have maps for everyone to look at, and we help direct them. We'll walk with them. Our OLs are there too, not just during orientation, but also there during kickoff, to also feel like that transition is still occurring and that you are welcome here, that, like, you belong, and that you're not that new student anymore. You're a Wildcat.
And the first step is arguably the hardest. And so you thinking about orientation not as an all or nothing day, but rather the first step in a process of, like, okay, I'm going to do this. And then the next step is maybe kickoff weekend. And then the next step is maybe, I need to find out where these resources are. I can contact Office of Recruitment and Admissions. I can do these things. Like, it's like gaining a friend that you take along with you and can access and talk to at any time, whether that's through new student orientation leaders, staff members. I think you guys summed it up perfectly. We're almost at time. Is there anything else you guys would like to say?
I don't think so. I mean, nothing that really comes to my mind other than, like, if you are, listening to this now, and if you're a student at K-State, you can apply to be an OL for next summer, or even if you're a new student listening to this and fixing to join K-State in the fall, and you enjoyed your orientation experience, apply to be an OL. Bring that same experience to the next generation of Wildcats.
Yeah. And I think, ask the questions. Mm-hmm. Nothing is silly. We work with thousands of students every year, and so we're here to help you in your transition, and we want that to be as smooth as possible. And if you're listening to this and you see us at orientation, come say hi. Let us know you listened. Hopefully it is helpful, right, to hear a little bit more behind the scenes of what's going to happen when you come in person or virtually, right, with those breakout rooms and building connections. Register for orientation. Check your K-State email.
Yes, check your K-State.
Check your K-State email.
Yes,
that's the new mode of communication. K-State email, and have fun in that transition. You're joining something new, branching out on your own, or continuing your education. And so have a great time. And as always, go Cats.
Go Cats.
Yes. To those who are listening, who are incoming students, just know you don't have to be perfect. You can just come as you are, and that's what new student orientation is all about. Parents who are listening to this, your child is going to be okay.
We will take care of them. You've done great work. We will help you continue
Absolutely.
that.
Thank you both for being such wonderful guests.
This was fun.
I even learned some things I didn't know about student orientation, and in my mind, I was like going through memory lane of like, I remember I still have my T-shirt from the Anderson lawn kickoff, and
They're always cute.
They're always cute. And they're free.
They're free.
Oh, yeah. Some people keep their name tags. Like our OLs that get the job the next summer will be like, oh my gosh, here's my name tag from orientation when they were students first year.
So it was a really fun episode with you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And
thanks.
We'll be back with another episode soon. Thanks, guys.